welcome back to Project Independence in You. Now we come to the Talk of the Town hour of the show with Kristina Liu, who is, of course, the radio show producer and puts this show together every single week for 10 years. Are we going on 10 years? Are we?
Yeah, our 10th anniversary will be in September.
Unbelievable. So for 10 years, every week, with a few weeks off here and there, but not many, Kristina has had hundreds of guests on the show, incredible topics, unbelievable information. So kudos to you, Kristina. Just amazing. And Otto, I think you've probably been the guest hosts the co-hosts, I apologize, for at least 50% of all the shows, and definitely all of the shows during the pandemic. So great work.
It's been a lot of fun, and Kristina does a great job of getting people who are interesting to talk with, who have important messages to get out. What I have learned during this time, I've almost been involved with the 10 years, and the number of people we have talked with, and that's an important word, with. They're not talking at us, we're not talking at them, we're talking with them. And, it's just been really great. And as you say, credit to Kristina.
Well, thanks, guys. That's quite the introduction. But
so
it's
another
really
10 years?
Yeah, we're going to keep this going, baby. I said, watch out, world. But what's, it's great. And it is a team. It's a team effort, everything. Yes, I schedule, but clearly, you guys and John and all of our other co-hosts, it really, I always call it the radio show family, because that's what we really are. And it's really all hands on deck. And, the guests, it's just every week, we have someone just so amazing, on and looking at Jennifer, here's someone who clearly has, no shortage of things to do. She's certainly involved with so many different things, and it's just, but you could just feel her passion behind what she's doing with Liad. And I think it's, it's just special. It's nice to showcase people who are really making a difference and trying to help. And especially during this time, that's something that has been a great part of having different guests on, is seeing how everyone kind of adjusted to this pandemic world, to how, we know at Project Independence, it was how do we provide these services with, in this new world, and time. So it's great that people are getting creative, and that's all we can really do during this.
I know. And I loved her emphasis on planning, because that's what we always say here too,
right.
And like someone really has good insight when they understand that, plan now. You don't want to be in a situation without a plan when the crisis occurs,
right?
And hopefully it never will. But how many times do you, does someone, something happens when you're 80, if you're, 85 and live alone and you have your house that you wanted to retire in, and then all of a sudden you need some work done on the roof or the windows, there's damage, plan ahead, make sure, in your 70s, in your mid, you get the work done. Don't put it off, because you're going to have to get estimates and all the kinds of things that you would have to do, that as we get older, people, there are people out there that we know prey on people that really aren't in the best situation to be negotiating, or, don't have, people near them. Sometimes a lot of people's families on the West Coast or down South. So
absolutely,
it's so important. It's like, just take one day and look at your life and think, what's the worst case scenario when I'm older? And then what can I do to make that worst case scenario not so bad, because I've got all the planning behind it.
Because what the problem is with planning, and listen, obviously, and I get it, we're all guilty of it at certain times. It's because it takes, work when it's, a lot of people don't want to put in the work, but it's really going to have a reward. And as we all know, how many of us, no matter what age we are, have, things happen all the time, especially now, you don't know what you're going to wake up to half the time. And it's planning and just having an idea. And like I said, it's an ongoing thing. It's not like, and I don't want people to ever feel so overwhelmed. We talk about on the show, the Circle of Support booklet, And the point is, you're not going to have all the answers immediately, but like what Rebecca was saying, you take a little section and just think about something, and then before you know it, here you have this kind of resource for yourself. And I know from my own personal self, it's having this kind of security blanket, so that that God forbid when the emergency happens, you have it. And that's, Beck had a good point, even something as simple, like, everybody wants to have, your plumber, your electrician, if you have a house, it's all these different, you want to have all these people on deck. So God forbid when the time comes, that there's some kind of issue, who to call.
Well, I think in my hindsight, and I can speak from a lot of hindsight because I'm creeping up there, people planning, like I know with my own kids, I'll talk to them about, you don't have to live like a miser and you have to enjoy your life, but you don't have to go haywire either, because the facts are you will need money if you are fortunate enough to get older. You need money, whether you like the idea or not. It helps. You talked about the security. It helps to know that you don't have to go hand to hand, week to week, whatever, waiting for your Social Security check. It makes getting older more pleasurable, if you will. And it's a message that, guys in your age brackets, not everybody gets that message, and they're going to spend every penny they get. Okay, if that's what you choose, but just be forewarned that you may have some rough years ahead of you. And maybe you don't want to think that way. You only want to think about today. Everybody's different. Everybody approaches it differently. You don't want to go over the top that you spend nothing and you become like a recluse and don't do anything, and you wear the same clothes all day, every day for the rest of your life. You don't want to do that. But on the other hand, you don't want to go nuts. You don't have to buy 4 80-inch televisions in a year.
Well, not in a year, but some.
Well, maybe in a year, because I want to put them in different rooms in my house.
Yeah.
Oh, Otto just gave us an idea.
Yeah, right. Panoramic television.
No, but it's true, and that's what we always say, on this program also is, just finding that balance, right? And that's with everything. That's with all aspects of, life. And, and like I said, it's not, it sounds great to say, and obviously you have to work at it. Some people, as Otto said, kind of have different, gauges for different things. But, I just think that the whole preparedness thing is just something that, yes, it might be a little initial work up front, but, a lot of us are sitting home. So you have nothing else to do besides, ponder your circle of support. So now is the time to really fill that out. But it's just, we were laughing about it, but it's just something that, just to think about and give thought. And, like I said, if one name comes out to you, in a week, cool. That's another name. That's one less thing you have to worry about if, God forbid, there's something. So,
it seems like there's so many, and unfortunately too, there's like mixed messages out there. Like one of the things she was saying is like, you want to get tested because maybe you have a lot of family members that have it and you want to know because that would help you plan. But if you find out, then you risk not getting long-term health care insurance. So it's like you risk not being able to switch insurances and getting life insurance. And so it's so everything is so complicated.
Yeah, and it gets overwhelming. I understand.
The older we get, the more complicated the systems are. I talk about even my mother's very, savvy and of course commissioner of the department years ago. And, she gets mail order to get your mail order medication and it comes in and it's changed. It's a different it's generic. And then the loopholes and phone calls to find out that the insurance company made the decision to give you generic when, for years they put her on the not the generic, the brand name, because her, she reacts better to it. So it's and then it was days to get. Then you have to get the doctor to write the notes, send to the right person, and then they have to review it and why and explain why. So it's like so complicated, and that's for someone who's got you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
every assistance imaginable.
Yeah.
So somewhat, so that's why, again, it's so important. It's just so
Yeah.
important.
No, that was a great example because I think about that, in my own life and my own family. Listen, my dad's in his 60s, so he's still an active guy, but he is so completely clueless to the technology world. Like he worked he did roofing, and then before that he worked for the sporting company, and he just can't. I look at him and it's just like, I remember having conversations with my 90-year-old grandfather on technology, and it's not too far off talking to my dad about certain technology things, and it's like, I look at that and, he can't even think about how to navigate some of these things, so and here's a guy who's 60 and active, so it's like you were saying, Beck, no matter, it's hard for a lot of people, and then picture being alone and homebound and not having anyone to help facilitate that, so that's why that was a great point to really bring up into kind of figuring things out, and I want to encourage people, to call 311, right? So if you're home, you don't know where to turn to, you don't know where to begin, connecting to a project independent social worker or nurse to help guide you, in what you're really looking for, because we say that all the time. Half the time you don't even know where to start or like what you need. You just know that you need help.
We as a Project Independence did a program recently with our advisory board talking about all these scams that are popping up. And I know, Otto, you had a couple.
Yeah,
That
I
you
had
ran.
two experiences this week. One of which for sure is a scam. It came from New York DMV on my phone, but I understand it also comes on email, and it says action needed. We have an update on our regulation compliant, whatever that means. Every New York DMV need update their driver's license at onlinenewyorkdmv.com. Well, I looked into it. It seemed fishy. And it turns out that this is something that's been going on for a while. And they get all your contact information when you hit the link. So that's no good. The DMV does not send out that. And if you had an issue with that, what I did was I went on to the DMV website itself, skip this stuff and go to the website of whoever's sending it to you. That was one. The other one was, I understand Citibank and a lot of banks are having people send out emails with letterheads and whatnot that look like sure Citibank, all right? And one that just came across was, oh, your credit score has changed from Citibank. Click here and you can see. Well, I thought about that, and they're not going to do that. So the bottom line there is, if you want to go to your Citibank or Chase Bank or whatever to find out about your credit score, go directly to their website. Do not go through a link that you might have gotten in an email because a lot of those are fake. Even with Citibank letterheads or Chase letterheads, the people are great at using that, and wherever they are, Russia or pick a country, these are scams and they're collecting your information.
Right. It's phishing. Sometimes I get an email that you were saying in that phishing where like it looks like the Citibank logo and it's got so many of the common things that you might see when you go on to that first page when you first sign on. So what I do is the email sender, if you click on the email sender, you could see the email address that it comes from. And if it says
it's like a bunch of random letters or something. Yeah.
Right.
Citibank,
That's good.
it'll just say.
No, that's such a great, because Beck, that's why always my go-to, like all the time, and so they look legit, a lot of them, Jay, gets emails all the time and he's like, is this real or fake? And I said, it just happened to him yesterday. And I said, listen, just click on the email, because that's like the first way you can kind of figure out if it's legit or not, because I keep getting these things saying, oh, your Netflix payment has been put on hold. And I'm like, what is this?
Right.
But it's a scam thing, because they want me to type in my credit card information, and update it. So you really have to, and it looked like it came from Netflix, it was really something.
Right. They have the logo
Yeah.
down, and they really have it look like their website. So you just, I mean, yeah, I just hate to say it. It's like, first, don't trust no matter what it is, and then just, if they're emailing you and requesting any kind of information, any kind of personal information, it's just not how they work anymore. No, none of the banks, especially, no, the DMV, they're not texting you and they're not emailing you. The DMV will email you a reminder. It will say, maybe your registration is due to expire in, 90 days. Please go to the website, but they're never going to send you a link and say, click here to register your vehicle. They know more, that's just not how it's going to work. So I know these scams are just,
But it
and
happens on
unfortunately, they're savvy, and we were talking during the break. A lot of people are home, so it's just what people are preying on. The phone ring. I mean, I never realized until working remotely how often my house phone rings. With bogus.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
that's
the last
why I got
time.
rid of my home number.
And I keep it, just because we like, it was so just to have a phone, and sometimes I like to pick that up to see if something's down or whatever. But literally, there's no one that calls me except like my mom. If I'm not answering my cell phone or something, she'll call the house phone. But it's absurd, the amount of phone calls and the credit card. They're telling me I have all kinds of crazy stuff. And, here, I think about that because I'm like, they just put it out there to however many people a day, hoping someone does have some kind of debt or loan. I'm still getting calls about student loans. I don't even have any student loans. They're so it's bizarre, the amount of, and of course there's the, the extended warranty for your vehicle, which is
and the thing is too, they know that they're going to get somebody, but they don't mention the car. Like if they said your Toyota, your 2004 four-door Toyota, if they had all this information, but they don't. They say your car warranty has expired, or we're calling from your credit card company. It's like, dude, which one? I mean, have you seen my wallet? No.
It's so true.
But the good news is that they always say that this is your final offer and that the file will be closed.
I know. I keep hoping. I'm waiting for my final.
I say, great. They're going to close the file.
Oh, it's so great.
Right.
So funny. But, we just had, I think it was, my days, it's been quite a busy week. I guess it was last week, Beck, we had our joint advisory committee where we had Manda Cristal. We've had her on the radio program before. She's with Family and Children's Association, and she did a whole presentation on fraud and scams because she's just very, and unfortunately, it's a constant evolving thing. So it's not, we can give you, okay, this is what it's every day. There's something new coming out. So the best thing to really do is to call, and share the information, because that's the only way to get it out there. I love in advisory committees when people share in our advisory committee, I got this scam, I got this letter. I remember years ago when there was that whole grandparent scam, was going on. I remember sitting in the advisory committees. Remember that, Rebecca? I think we were
little Johnny is in prison.
Yeah, I think we were together in the advisory when a senior was sharing her story, and it was
and
it was and these are savvy, and I think that that's something that I want to, encourage. A lot of people are scared to come forward with it because of the fact that they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, but it's very easy. Like I said, they're
it happens to all of us.
Yeah,
it really does. The thing is when they do the calls and, they call at a time where, it's scary. So if it's in the middle of the night, we have your grandson here, he's okay, but he's in trouble. He needs bail money. And then what does the grandparent say? John? Is my John? And they're like, yes, it's John, so you've been giving them money. But I remember this one scam a few years back. I think I talked about it on the radio show, but it's kind of like, and they call these like, they're almost like pop-up scams, like people just kind of thinking. So, and you have to look out for these, like, especially if you're on the radio and we say, oh yeah, I'm going to Florida next week. I brought my dog to doggy daycare. You just told every listener that no one's going to be at your house for a week. So you have to, they're looking for an opportunity. It was just this person left a note on someone's house. I think I told you guys about it. We got the police officer who was doing a scam program was talking about it. And the note said, I love the color of your house.
Yep.
Please call me. I'd love to know what, when you're home, and I'd come talk to you. So it was the senior, calls the number back, and how can I help? It's kind of weird. She's like, I know it sounds weird, but I can come over tomorrow. And what does the senior say? I'm sorry, no one's going to be home. So what happens? And that they make plans for the 2 days later. So what happened the next day? That person knows you are not going to be home from 9 to 5. So you just invited, and they were robbed. So you don't want to let people know. I mean, it's unfortunate that we're in this situation. Of course, now during the pandemic, there's been very probably few home robberies because someone's always home.
I know. My house, there's someone always there.
Right. Oh. But you don't want to fall prey into giving them the information. It's you have to really be on your toes.
I think that's the key thing is you got to understand conceptually that there could be scams in anything, and you don't have to know about every little individual scam. Conceptually, you have to be cautious and pay attention and figure, is this real? I mean, you have to think about everything. Almost every email that you get from somebody who you normally don't get emails from, that offers something or other, click here, you have to be skeptical of.
Yeah, you know what it is too. It's, it goes to our previous conversation, and this is just kind of how the world works now, I've come to realize, is that there are so many mixed messages, right? Because we're not sitting here, we don't want to terrify people to be living and like suspicious of everything that you encounter, and it's really finding that kind of that balance, and it just becomes part of your routine. And obviously once you are more savvy and used to certain things, it just becomes kind of a second nature. Like, okay, I click this email, the initial panic doesn't necessarily kick in, so it's just something, like I said, it's being aware, and it's just being proactive, even with these calls, saying, what, thank you, I'll call you back. These are very simple little things that can, protect you. And the bottom line is, if they're a legit person, they're not going to get angry about it. So it's we don't want to, we preach these things, but we don't want everyone, we're like, oh, use technology. And then it's like, watch out, technology is, crazy. But it's like I said, it's being educated. Right. And that's what I think our goal always is to like, just fill you with these, nuggets of information, just so you're aware and safe, so you're able to do these things, because the bottom line is.
Remember the motto, Otto, and if it's too good to be true, then it is. Yeah. There's no one that is just going to make your life that much easier just by, someone sending you an email. They have $500 billion that just give them your bank account, and they'll just, go ahead and transfer.
It'd be lovely. I mean, if I could find a person that legitimately wants to do that for me,
Well, the flip side of that is there's always been non-technology scams as well.
Right.
Going back,
like that other one that.
They used to do credit cards, and then they'd imprint a copy for themselves, and then they'd capture your credit card information. Checking accounts, they had things that they could easily look at somebody's check somewhere and come up with scams. So it's not just, I agree with Kristina that one of the fears people have about technology who don't know technology very well is that they think they're going to get ripped off somewhere along the line, and you get ripped off without that if you don't pay attention.
Right.
And
right. So you just have to be careful. Keep in the back of your head that if it sounds too good to be true, then it is. If they're sending you a link, don't hit it. Call the bank, like I was saying, just call them directly. If you get an email from Citibank and you don't know why you're getting it and they're asking you to put in information, just call them directly. We were just talking about scams and, what to look out for, be leery of. If it sounds too good to be true, then it is. And, Otto had a really good point. It's not just on technology. So you have to be wary of people with clipboards. I mean, you just have to be kind of leery of everything. No one really should ever ask you outright for your social security number. It's just, it's just a big no-no. There was a scam a few years ago, how they ask like your bank, or when you are putting in a username or a password somewhere, and maybe you forgot your your password. So you have to go through a process, an identity process, and they'll ask the last 4 numbers of your social security number. So there was a scam a while ago. They would ask for the first 5 numbers because they said that too many people are giving out too much information on the last 4 numbers. So they probably had it and are just and people started doing it. I mean, it's just such, incredible, they'll try anything. So you really, you do really need to be so cautious. But,
Absolutely.
So what's happening in the town of North Hempstead?
But I'm very excited. I'm behind the screen. I've been multitasking with different things. And what's very exciting is that we have just finalized our issue of the Pioneer newsletter. So that's a great way for people to kind of get educated on different programs and things that are going on within North Hempstead. So hopefully that'll be sent out in the next week or so. We have a great article that was submitted from Northwell Health Geriatrics that actually explains kind of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine and what it is, because a lot of people get a little confused. So they submitted a great article. We have a wonderful picture from the World Health Organization about coping with stress during this, which I think is, it's, some great little tips. I'm all about when I work on the Pioneer, I love that could be little things in here that you take away, that you could use, right? So I'm all about a bullet. Otto knows, me and Otto both love a good bullet point. And speaking of bullet points, the man, the myth, the legend, Otto Los, we'll put in his little article. Otto sent me that headshot and I was like, oh, I got a perfect picture to add for this thing. And it's called Thoughts to Ponder by Otto Los. So it's some great little tips, obviously we all say, when we grow up, we all want to be Otto. So who else would have?
So do I when I grow up.
Who else would have the wonderful thoughts to ponder? And it's just.
What do we do with all this fan mail, Kristina?
I know. Listen, we're going to have to redirect it. We're going to have to. Hopefully, we could do digital, so there's less paper involved.
I would say in 10 years, you probably not got one phone call.
And you'll be happy to know Dan said that headshot is right out of GQ. So watch out, everyone. Maybe we'll have Otto. When we get back, we'll have Otto sign autographs, with the headshot. Right. I'll print up some. We could have a whole day. But what I love about it is that, Otto has great points and it's things just to kind of think about, from senior to senior. And I think it's really great. So that's in there. We have a whole article about the exercise classes, which Beck is so involved in. She's our exercise guru and also an instructor. She organized the program schedule and also does the yoga instructing as well. She's one of them. So she's quite, and it's so great. Beck, you want to tell us a little bit about the exercise stuff that's going on? I wanted to
ask Rebecca, how long ago did you get involved with yoga? What got you into that?
Excuse me, Rebecca's going to talk about this on the April, I think it's 2nd show.
I can give you a little tidbit. I love talking
this is just an intro, like a teaser to get.
Yes, I like this.
I think one of the things that John and I like to talk about, John Ryan, is you're never too old to start something. And I've always worked out in some way, whether going to the gym or playing sports when I was younger or swimming or walking or whatever I did. So, and I always in the back of my mind just always had this weird feeling about yoga, and I never really got into it. I don't know if I was intimidated by it, but and over the years I tried it a few times, and I was yoga shamed during a class one time where it was a packed room and I wasn't doing it right, which I don't think you can ever do it wrong. It's a practice. You're never really, you don't get a trophy. And the instructor came over and spent literally the entire class helping me get into one pose. And I was so embarrassed and sweating. I swore I was never, ever going back again. And then a few years later, I have a friend, she's a pediatrician, and she invited me out to her house, and she out east, and she's like, let's go take a yoga class. I'm like, oh, no, you don't want me there. I don't know what I'm doing. And she looked at me like, what? Just come. So I went, and it was the most amazing, beautiful, life-changing experience of my life. The studio, it was just me and her. The studio was very small. It was beautiful, very zen. And the instructor just was so encouraging and just explained so much. And when I got back home, I joined a yoga studio and just started going. Like I was like just going. I couldn't get enough. And then every few months, they had certification programs to become a yoga teacher. And a few years later, I did that. So, and
Now,
I absolutely love it.
I have one other question, and this will be it because otherwise we won't have anything to talk about.
It'll be the Rebecca show.
I do
I
like
have plenty to talk about. Don't you worry.
I do
Otto.
like a 15-minute thing where I use bands, 10-pound dumbbells, and one of the things I do is a golf swing in slow motion, and I find that is almost painful to do, believe it or not. Is yoga like that? Like I watch people do yoga and I see slow movement. Like when I do this golf swing in slow motion, I feel a lot more than when I do it fast.
Well, I mean, like you're talking a couple of different things here. You're talking, you got the weights, you got this, fitness. So there's yoga in almost every kind of sport, every kind of aerobic workout, karate. I mean, kids. One kid had the great definition for yoga. He said, yoga is slow motion karate. So
I like that too.
We could do all that.
But also in the Pioneer, I have a great article that has tips about moving your own way and just kind of how to stay active in this world. Of course, we have a wonderful full page spread. Dan will be very happy about the radio show and WCWP, how to access it. So that's really, really great information. And then we're also showcasing a lot of highlights that Project Independence had for 2020, because I think it's important to do. Everyone knows that at the end of the year, I love kind of reflecting and looking back at the statistics and all the programs that went on, because, that's one thing. 2020 was a tough year. We could all certainly agree on that. But Project Independence didn't stop and got so creative on all fronts of how to stay connected and figure out things. So it's just really cool to see, all in one place, all the amazing things that went on. And it's a shout out to the team, over at the Department of Services for the Aging, the social workers, the nurses, all of our partnerships that we've really had for so many years now. And it's really special. So on top of, doing a little bragging about how wonderful our program is, it really just also can educate people, because I think that there's so much that goes on in Project Independence that, not everyone might even be aware of. If you're doing an exercise class, you might not know that we have, a Neighbors Helping Neighbors program, so it's a great way to kind of get a little blurb and look into what's going on. So definitely
I just want to point this out. So Kristina not only is the radio show producer for 10 years, pulls it all together, makes everybody's kind of job easy and fun because she does all the work. She pulls together this incredible newsletter that also has been around since, day one.
Yeah, since like North days. We're like long time.
And it's really a huge job. I mean, you're coordinating the articles, you're proofreading, you're working with the communications department, you're getting approval from the supervisor's office, you're working with the team, you're trying to get people to send in articles and be incredibly informative in a time frame to get it all put out together. And that is also something else that Kristina does. So it's so, she's not, you just make everybody's job so much easier. And, also with all the stats that she does and keeps everybody, she's just like if anybody out there has $1 million and wants to hire her, she's.
Oh, thanks, Beck. Beck really is one of my close friends. So whatever she's saying, you should really believe her.
She's your agent.
Very accurate. Well, we'll be back.
I have to say, because one of our fabulous co-hosts, Ann Hirsch, had asked me to make sure I announce this on the radio show. She's very involved with Tully Park and swimming there. And they've been closed for a while. So this week, though, the Tully Aquatic Center has reopened the fitness room on Monday, and the pool is going to reopen on March 8th. So on Monday, the indoor pool will be open. She said a lot of seniors actually utilize it, and it's been really great. So it's been hard that's been closed. So it is back. So I wanted to be not forget to do that. And I also really want to remind everyone that we touch upon this every week, all of the different virtual programming that goes on at Project Independence. So we have our World in Motion group meets, and that's a current events group. and that's March 3rd and March 24th. So that's always well, March 3rd just passed because I don't know what day it was today. March 24th will be coming up for that. We have a men's group. We have a social discussion group. We have a caregiver to a spouse group. And like I said, these are all groups that met in person that now are via Zoom, which is wonderful that they still get to continue. Our
And
St.
still
Francis.
need to call to register, right?
Yeah, because you need to call to, right, because that's how you get the Zoom link. You know,
Right.
so that's really in order to be a part of it. So you'll get sent it and reminders and whatnot. But the St. Francis cardiac screening van is coming back. And it's really been great because during COVID, they revamped their whole plan to make it, you know, COVID safe. They were able to give out flu shots to a lot of our residents, which was so wonderful. So they are going to be at Fushillo Park on March 9th. You do not need to make an appointment, which is great. So you can get the screenings, and if the weather's nice, they'll do it outside with an awning, you know, and if it's crummy, the weather, there's a big enough space inside that they have available at that site. So it's real. I love the idea that you don't have to make an appointment for that.
Yeah.
We also have a really great group that just started about a couple of months ago, and it's In Your Own Words. And this is a workshop, and it's kind of a therapeutic journaling program, you know, whether it's poems or, you know, all different kinds of writing and just journaling your experiences on paper and, you know, kind of discussing it. So it's really a creative kind of group, and it's just, I think it's so cool. I love the whole idea of it. And that's on Tuesday, March 9th and March 23rd. It always meets on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month at 11:30. So you can call 311 for that. You know, on our Alzheimer's talk that we've been discussing, we have coming up on March 10th, Understanding Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia. So that's also going to be a virtual group. And that's going to be at 1:00. So they're just going to talk about just the causes, detection, risk factors. You know, you'll be able to ask questions. So if you heard our interview, you know, here, you can kind of learn a little more about that at the community education chat. So definitely check that out as well. I want to remind people about our transportation program. Beck had talked about it a little earlier, which is great that till the end of August has been approved to still do cashless. Is that correct, Beck?
Yeah, that is correct. It's going to go, right now, we did extend it through the end of August 31st. However, if things do return to normal, we may go back to the system we had prior, and we'll see how that happens. We'll give a lot of notice if that's going to happen. But yeah, it's been working out really well. It's cashless. We're trying to limit any contact with the driver and the rider. And, you know, we still are only having one person in the car. The taxis will not pick up another person while you're in the car. And, you know, we're just trying to do everything we can do to limit any kind of, you know, interaction with the rider and the driver.
Now, they will also, I understand, bring people for COVID vaccines, the drivers?
Yes, so certainly that's considered a medical ride. So within the town, definitely, and there are like a handful of sites outside the town, like within a kind of close enough radius that they can bring them to. So just call 311. You know, we have Shari Baton, who's been on the show a lot. She is the mobility manager, and she could, you know, answer and assist any rider that has information about outside town locations and transportation.
Yeah, it was the Northport VA Medical Center is one of them.
That's quite the trip. But, you know, if any veterans in the town want to get their vaccines out at the VA in Northport.
Yeah, and then it says Nassau University Medical Center, Nassau Community College. Of course, we go to LIU Post. Yeah, Nassau Community College. So those are some extra, you know, little vaccination shots that.
Keep in mind, though, as we know, as a site for, you know, a quick site, they change frequently. So we didn't want to put it in, you know, for the extension to limit it to just those sites, because if something pops up, you know, in Westbury and Hempstead, you know, we'll go there too. So
absolutely right. It's evolving.
Right. You know, we can't go to Jones Beach. That's, you know, it's way too far, and because the taxis would have to drop someone off, and I think Jones Beach is a drive-through.
Yes, I have driven by it.
Yeah.
I have driven by it when we do this Sunday morning walk thing. And one Sunday I went by there, there must have been a half a mile of cars backed up waiting to get in to the place. Last week, it wasn't the case. So maybe they got better at how they do it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what it is too, I think, which is good, you know, and we've seen just from experience, a lot of new pop-ups are happening now with, you know, vaccinations and pharmacies. I know some Walgreens were having it. So, you know, we've been telling people just to be patient, that things, you know, and I've seen it firsthand, you know, like from when the vaccines first started coming, there's certainly a lot more access to it. It's still difficult at times, but I think that, you know, we're on the right track to kind of getting that done. So that's exciting. And also, I know we are rapidly approaching the end of the show. So what I always like to have in this segment is to remind people about things to do this weekend in our every day is a holiday little calendar. So Beck, you can write in, prepare your weekend for things to do. Are you ready? Today is Reel Film Day, which I don't know who, if anyone has any reels of film, you know, and a projector, pop that in. So that was quite interesting. Tomorrow, I know this might be a big one for Otto, is National Dress Day. And then
I'm actually going to a bridal shower. I could do that.
See that, and you could share this. This is like a talking point when you're at the bridal shower. You could mention, does anyone know what today is? And then Sunday is Plant Power Day, which I like. And which is wonderful is that, so all next week, you know, when you're waiting for this show to come back on Friday, you can celebrate up until, because Monday is International Women's Day, which we are big supporters over at the Town of North Hempstead. So definitely that's one to certainly remember.
Now this is Women's History Month.
That's right. Thank you, Otto. Right. Otto's very good at popping that in. But this is an interesting one. I didn't know we needed to celebrate this, but apparently it is False Teeth Day on Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm not sure how you celebrate it, but you know, where there's a will, there's a way, everyone. Wednesday is International Bagpipe Day, which I think Dan is, you know, waiting with bated breath for. So that is on Wednesday. And Thursday is Dream Day. And then Friday is National Plant a Flower Day. And how perfect, because we'll be on the air that day. And, you know, maybe I'll have some flowers in the background in honor of National Plant. So there you go, guys. You could really so it's something to do.
I like those. They're all very positive and, you know, whimsical.
Well, it's just a fun calendar. It is. And like I said, it reminds you, because my brother was, you know, downstairs yesterday and he was looking through this calendar and he's like, are these even like real things? Or are they just like things that you made up? And I was like, no, I bought this calendar. They are real days, James. So it's just fun. Was it
Nationals 2 days ago? Everybody was posting on Facebook that it was National Sun's Day.
Oh,
is that
could have
on
been?
There?
Let's see if it was on this one. You know, there's multiple holidays on different days, because if you live in my house, these are the bizarre things that we look up. My mother and I, you know, we'll look up who on our birthday, what kind of days it is, because that's just, you know, we feel like we need to know it. Well, there was National Anthem Day was on Wednesday, and Hug a GI Day was yesterday. So, yes. And I'm really upset. I missed National Banana Cream Pie Day last Tuesday. So this is why it's very important to stay on top of all these days, because you don't know what you're missing out there.
I wonder who proclaims these days.
Well, you had the same thought as my brother. He was really trying to get to the bottom of, you know, where these days came from. But as everyone knows, which I will have to share again, my favorite is my birthday, because it really just is so fitting, because on April 3rd, it is World Party Day. So they know I'm very connected to
I think you wrote this calendar. Wait a minute. I think you're the producer of this calendar, Miss Kristina Little.
Well, you know what? It's just they knew that I would be the person that saw this in the store and needed to get it. But Beck's birthday is March 23rd. Right, Beck? That's your birthday date. And you know what your day is, Beck? National Chip and Dip Day. Which is equal. Chip and dip.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we'll have to make a thing of it, you know, at work.
I'm on board for that.
March 23rd, 1980.
Oh. He's
Yeah,
trying
sure.
to get to like, Beck went with it. But you know
Sure.
what? We're laughing about all these things. But as we know, we love to end this show in a positive thing. Listen, the sun is out. It might be freezing cold outside, but it looks like the sun is out. I'm not sure. I haven't had the privilege of being outside today. But I think it's just important to, during these times, embrace these silly, fun things. And like I said, if you want to celebrate False Teeth Day, you celebrate False Teeth Day.
Oh, yeah. Any day I don't have to chase my garbage can down the block in the snow, I'm happy in my slippers. That. So it's a good day. It started out well.
What's the first day of spring?
When is the first day of spring? It's March. No, it's like the 20-something, I think.
Yeah.
21st, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 21st. I can't see my my labyrinth calendar.
We're going to go through a cold spell now where we're going to be in the 20s and the 30s.
Oh, look, Otto's like a weatherman. Dan, can we put up like a weather screen behind Otto?
For two reasons, all right? One is my walking at Jones Beach, and the other one is golf. We do golf when it's 36 degrees, but not when there's a foot of snow on the ground.
I'm with you. I like it, Otto. Where there's a will, there's a way, guys. It's all about finding it. So there we go. March 20th is the first day of spring. So we could all count that down. And we got to wrap it up.
So you all have a great weekend. And next week looks like it's going to be a great show, too. Thank you for listening to Project Independence and You here on WCWP.org.